two, one, KenCast.
Hey everyone, it's Saturday and welcome to another KenCast. It's great to have you here. We have a lot to talk about. We are less than 2 weeks away from the premiere of Cobra Kai Season 5. I know you have many questions and ideas you want to talk about, and there's a lot for us to discuss today. And today, I am very pleased to bring in someone who can offer us some Cobra Kai knowledge, perhaps some Cobra Kai wisdom. Yes, that's right. I have, for the first time on KenCast, Mike, Cobra Kai Wisdom himself. Great to have you, Mike. Thanks for coming on.
What's up, Ken? Thanks so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you too. Now, if everyone who does not follow you on social media yet, this is Mike. His handle is Cobra Kai Wisdom. And Mike, tell us about yourself and how you got into Cobra Kai and how you started this Cobra Kai Wisdom account.
Well, how I got into Cobra Kai is a long story. I'm as OG as you can get if your name is not John, Josh, or Hayden. I'm born and raised in the 1980s, watching the Karate Kid trilogy, like so many of us. Big fan of them throughout my life. And then when I heard about this show coming back on, I was hooked before it even came out, and could not wait for it. So I've been a huge, huge fan pretty much my whole life. Watched it season 1, watched it myself. And then as I approached season 2, I discovered a little podcast called Cobra Kai Companion, hosted by our friend Peter.
Yes.
And became addicted to that and learned the concept of the Cobra Kai fandom, which I had never previously heard of or was aware that it existed. So I joined Peter's Facebook group, made some amazing friends there, some of whom I met in person this past summer and this past week, which has been an amazing experience, and became a moderator in his Facebook group. And right around the beginning of 2020, started a new thing. I like to keep things light. I like to keep the humor aspect of the fandom going, to just try to cheer people up in an otherwise crazy day. And so I created this thing called Mike's Wednesday Wisdom, which was just a 3-panel meme taking a scene from the show and changing the dialogue so that it's a funny meme. And it got some great responses, and some other people started making some ones. And the next thing you know, I had like 20 of them planned. And I said, okay, if I'm going to only do this once a week, it's going to take me a very long time to get all these ideas out. And I didn't want to hog up Peter's group because it's his group. I don't like doing that. So I said, you know what? I really didn't have my own Cobra Kai social media presence myself at that time, and I wanted to contribute something to the Cobra Kai fandom. I don't have a podcast. I know nothing about YouTube, as I show you. I don't do my own show. So I said, you know what? I'll be the guy who makes people laugh on Instagram with the show. And Lord knows the show lends itself to a lot of humor, especially when you start doing memes about Johnny Lawrence. So I took all those memes and I incorporated it into a new Instagram page called Cobra Kai Wisdom, and then created a companion Twitter account as well, and kind of just took off from there, for good and bad. Unfortunately, at that same time as when COVID started. So a lot of people, we were all locked down, purely socializing through social media. So, it started out, it was my companion friends doing it, but then I started to meet some new friends who joined my page and followed me, who I did not previously know. And now it's been about 2.5 years later, and you and I were talking, and we have some true friends that we have met through social media and through the Cobra Kai fandom, and it's just been amazing.
Yes. And speaking of Cobra Kai friends, we've got a lot joining us today. We've got Terry. Good to see you, Terry. We've got Lisa. Great to see you, Lisa. Jay. Stuart, great to see you. Crazy Bison Stream Time. And look, it's Peter.
Oh,
Cobra Kai Companion Podcast. He's here.
What's up, Peter? Hey, everyone.
What's up? Christos, great to see you.
From Greece. Wow.
Invisible Observer says, Mike.
Hey, Christy.
And Peter again says, I hope I don't embarrass Mike.
You better embarrass me. That's why we're paying you to be here, man.
That's great. Guys, thank you. It's great to see you guys. Good to see you, Nick. Good to see you, Eliza. Great to see you. Crazy Bison, great to see you. guys, jump in the chat. We'll try to get to as many comments as we can. Again, this is Mike, Cobra Kai Wisdom. I have links to his social media down in the description, and we are going to benefit from his wisdom today, because if you had questions or things you want to talk about Cobra Kai season 5, today is the day to do it. It is less than 2 weeks away. We know some more than we did last week, and we're going to talk about all of that. And to see the kinds of things that have happened since last week, let's get into some news.
KenCast News.
All right, here we go. All right, so Mike, obviously, we know, we've seen this poster.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm just going to put this up full screen right now. Yeah, now give me your thoughts. I've picked the brain of some other Cobra Kai fans, and I just want to get your thoughts on this particular poster, since you've been around since the beginning.
Yes.
What do you think of this? We are now season 5. What do you think of this poster?
I like to go by gut reaction sometime. What is my initial thought, the first split second, and then try to intellectualize it afterward. My first thought on this is major Empire Strikes Back vibes. Not that it looks like that poster, but just that it's got the concept that, I mean, look who's front and center. Your guy Terry Silver, right there, the biggest. He is the focal point. Your eyes go straight towards him. And the red, which we all know, the colors are a very big theme in Cobra Kai, and red is the color of Cobra Kai. That's what it means. We got the red shadows on everybody, like a big red light is shining on them. We've got the red 5. Even the Netflix is red. Even that's a happy coincidence. But it's the color of Cobra Kai, which leads me to believe that this season is going to be so Cobra Kai centric. And your guy right here, Terry Silver, is going to be at the pinnacle of it, and it's going to be fantastic. So I really like it. I like that they included so many of the characters, just about all of the main characters, and some of the new ones as well. So whenever someone is in the poster historically, means they're going to have a big storyline in that season. That's been true the first 4 times, which leads me to you, there's a lot of characters in this poster that each one's going to get their own storyline, which I'm very happy about because I love them all.
Absolutely. And you mentioned my boy Terry Silver. Big T is here. Hi, Kenny boy. Hi, Venny boy. He calls me Venny sometimes. Good to see a Big T. Thanks for showing up. Well, we're talking about Big T, but this is a question that a lot of people have had, Mike. We are missing John Kreese. He is not in this poster. So this is a point that a lot of people have brought up. What is your thought as to the reason why we do not see John Kreese in this poster?
My thought, and I was actually a little surprised to see him in the trailer. I thought the whole idea is that he was going to be forgotten, that we are supposed to forget about John Kreese. This is about Terry Silver taking over. We got Daniel, we got Johnny, we got Chozen. And at some point, John Kreese is still around. And if anyone truly has a grudge now against Terry Silver, it's not Johnny or Daniel, it's John Kreese. So he's truly going to be off the grid in prison doing whatever he's doing. And I think he's going to have a big storyline while he's in prison. I think it's going to be important. But I think we're supposed to, kind of forget about him. And then when he does come back, I do not believe he's going to be in prison for the entire season. He's going to come back at some point. And then, of course, the question is, where will his allegiances lie now that he has been betrayed by his former lieutenant?
Right. Oh, man, I always thought something like this could happen. And I don't even know how this could go down between Kreese and Terry Silver. Like, this is pretty epic. I mean, Terry Silver's a very smart guy. I'd like to think that he's kind of gamed out everything, and he knows that John Kreese somehow could get out and might be prepared for John Kreese. But I don't know. You could also say that John Kreese knows Terry really better than anyone else. And so I don't know, that could be it could be a very dangerous situation for Terry.
Oh, absolutely. They know each other's weaknesses. And I have talked about this before, that a lot of what John Kreese did to Terry towards the end of season 4 was poke at his weaknesses, namely his PTSD. And if anyone is to blame for the true Terry Silver coming back, it's John Kreese, because he poked the bear at that PTSD and his trauma from Vietnam, and then it completely burned him in the end. But
Right.
at the same time, Terry knows John's weaknesses, and the worst thing you could do to Captain John Kreese was to throw him back in a cage. And I think that's going to be the big part of Kreese's storyline, is that he has been put back in the cage, and all the trauma and everything he's been festering in his brain for the past 50 years is going to all come back, and he's finally going to have to deal with his own issues. And then he's going to come out and deal with Terry Silver and what he has done to Cobra Kai.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I honestly, I can't wait. And Mike just let me know that I guess this is sold out. This is the season 5 premiere. It's Wednesday, September 7th. I'm just going to let you guys know I'm going to do some type of live stream from this event for however long, is possible. But I know everyone's not in the LA area. So at least if I can live stream, then I can bring you with me and we can kind of see what's going on at the premiere. Cobra Kai, guys, if you're waiting for season 5 and you haven't seen Cobra Kai, or even if you've seen it, check it out. The Big T is in the chat right now. The Big T is a character in Cobra Kai. If you ever had questions as to whether Tom Cole is related to me, Ken Cole, or if Tom Cole might have something to do with Terry Silver, check out Cobra Kai, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. A link is in the description for that. Okay, so Mike, I saw this just online. This is a news story, and we're seeing lots of news stories now. We're getting ready for Cobra Kai season 5, and this is Pioneer Woman. It's not a publication I read normally, but the question is, who's William Zabka? Where you've seen the Cobra Kai star before. And here's the deal. I'm just going to go like heads up here, Mike. I got to be honest with you. I don't understand. I'm all for this article because William Zabka is amazing and he deserves all the articles he can get. But doesn't this article seem like 4 years too late?
A little bit, yeah. But with that said, one thing that I had mentioned on social media, which I thought was pretty cool, is that to this day, there are still new Cobra Kai fans discovering the show now. John Hurwitz retweeted a bunch of them that still in August of 2022, we're still getting new people saying, finally checked out Cobra Kai. Wasn't too sure about the whole idea of a Karate Kid sequel, but oh my God, is it amazing. So this could be one of those people who was in that boat saying, oh, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, I'm not going to give that a chance, and maybe finally did now, and realized, wow, this is an amazing show, and wow, is William Zabka an amazing actor.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a really great point. It's like a lot of people, right, could be discovering the show for the first time right now. And how amazing would that be to be able to go on Netflix, sit down, and be able to just binge 4 seasons of Cobra Kai all at once? I can't even imagine. I'd love to have that experience again for the first time.
Yeah, or all 5 in 2 weeks if they watch the show for the first time and they get all 5 seasons to experience for the first time.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And I've always, what I love about the seasons when you watch them together, it really is just one story.
Right.
Which I see it. The seasons aren't really separated. Like, this season, this is the bad guy, this is the story, and this season, it's really one story taking place in a continuous 2-year time frame so far. So it's if you're lucky enough to be able to watch all 5 seasons at once for the first time, you're watching a hell of a story.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of you. That's a great experience.
Oh, 100%. Eliza asks, Ken, did you sign up for screeners? Okay. And I think you mean like to see season 5 early. And I did not. And I just want to say that I know that it's out there. People have seen it. I'm sure the leaks are going crazy. Today, we're going to not do spoilers in this discussion. So if you know what happens during season 5, keep it to yourself. Peter's in there. He has seen it. But as long as he's here, I think he'll help, keep us in line as far as not spoiling what happens in season 5. So I just want to put that out there. From now on, all the way up through our live stream marathon up to the release of season 5, no spoilers. Just want to put that PSA out there.
And I have not seen it either. So
oh, that's great. So now we can just talk about it and have fun and speculate and just get all hyped for the next 13 days. So. Yep. And one of those sources of hype is Sunset Boulevard. Like, this is pretty wild, Mike. we have Cobra Kai on Sunset Boulevard in LA, with these 4 billboards, and that one, Terry Silver, is on a billboard. And I just, as a longtime fan of Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, I cannot believe that Terry Silver is on a billboard. 4 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined that he would even be back. I didn't even know that was a possibility. And then boom, he is now on a billboard on Sunset Boulevard. That's pretty insane.
It's amazing. I know this is going to be Terry Silver and Thomas Ian Griffith's season. That's the only thing I vaguely know about the season. I don't know spoilers. I don't know storylines, but one thing I've heard is that Thomas Ian Griffith is going to be deserving of an Emmy this season. I think this is when we are finally going to be able to see what this man is capable of. And I think he's just going to absolutely knock it out of the park. This is the Terry Silver that Silver fans have been waiting for. He's no longer on drugs. He's no longer under Kreese's control. He's fully in control of his faculties. He's got the resources, and he's going to be a very, very dangerous man, and unlike anything we have seen before. And I'm so excited to see what he brings to the table this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't wait. Terry says Thomas Ian Griffith is an awesome actor, and I totally agree. Like, the idea that we were going to see the full Terry Silver, like everything he can do, is just absolutely insane. And I love how it started in season 4, where, Chris Maffei, who's been on here, coined the term tofu Terry, and he seemed softer and not so bad. And it's just, we've gone from that to like the full power of like the Terry Silver we know and love. It is insane. And Ben asks, Ken, have you seen these billboards in person? I haven't gone to see them in person yet. However, let me know if you guys would like me to do. I was thinking of maybe even doing some kind of KenCast live in front of the Terry Silver billboard. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the chat, and maybe we can make that happen just to hype up. So before we get into this discussion, Mike, I know that you have a lot of wisdom about what could happen. What is your hope of what happens in season 5? What are you most looking forward to this season?
Oh God, where do I start? I mean, the first big thing is what we already talked about, which is Terry Silver. I want to see Thomas Ian Griffith in all his beauty and glory and everything he is capable of, which I know is a lot. I think people are going to have the same reaction to him that they had to William Zabka, as we were talking about after season 1. Like, wow, he is a good actor. That, jerk from the 1980s is genuinely a really, really good actor. And him not being a huge megastar is a travesty that he hasn't been in more for the past 40 years. I think people are going to say the same thing about Thomas Ian Griffith after season 5, because he is, if you're a fan of him, which many of you are, he's a really good actor. Yes. And the fact that he too is not a name that everyone has known for the past 40 years is also a travesty, in my opinion. So right. I am super psyched to see him and Terry Silver be the new heavy in the league. I'm psyched to see what he does with Cobra Kai. That's the one thing we do know that has been sort of hinted at by the big 3, is that this is the story of what would have happened if they had won after Karate Kid 3. That all of Terry's dreams and ambitions had finally come true. But I think it's going to be worse, because like I said, now he's not just based on revenge. He really is thinking clearly, and he wants to put the effort in to make this Cobra Kai the dojo around the valley, and now clearly beyond.
Right.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a lot more of what makes the show great, which is the character relationships. Really looking forward to seeing Johnny and Robbie together a lot this season. We've been doing these watch parties in our Facebook group in Cobra Kai Companion. So I did some of the ones for season 1. And when you start to see the beginning of the relationship of Robbie and Johnny, it's so complex. There's so much anger, and they just keep butting heads, and you can tell they both care about each other, but they're either their timing is wrong or someone says the wrong thing, and it just never works out. And that is continuous until the very, very end of season 4, but it's so quick. It appears at season 5 that we're finally going to get to see them try to have a father-son relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that. And I think, other than a very short clip in the teaser, the first teaser for season 5, we've really seen nothing about that. Mexico was not in the trailer at all, that storyline. So
Yes.
I'm actually looking forward to more the Mexico storyline for Johnny and Robbie than I am for Miguel, because I really want to see those two characters finally come to some type of relationship, or at least an understanding. But to do that, I mentioned Miguel. You got to throw Miguel into the mix, because Miguel is, for all intents and purposes, Johnny's other son, and those two hate each other.
Yeah.
And with that said, though, they really have not. They definitely haven't talked, and they really haven't confronted each other, Robbie and Miguel, since season 2. And they had that little skirmish at prom in season 4, but for the other than that, they really haven't had anything to do with each other since season 2. They didn't fight each other at the tournament, and I think they're finally going to have to come to blows with each other. Maybe it's through fighting, maybe it's through talking. It's probably going to be through both. But these are Johnny Lawrence's two sons, basically, and their parents are also dating each other.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to figure their own stuff out, and I'm also looking forward to that. I think that's going to be another big storyline, maybe more after Mexico, when they get back, that they're just going to have to be like, look, we're in each other's lives, whether we like it or not. At some point, we're going to have to figure our stuff out.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing points. Wow, even listening to you, Mike, I'm getting like so excited for season 5. This is crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, I could do this all day. All day.
That's great. Terry Johnson boats. I would love for Ken to go there and let us see the billboards. And Peter recommends hooking up with Sensei Pialani for a live KenCast. She's great.
She's going to be there too. Yeah, she's going to be at the premiere. She told us that earlier today.
Oh, that's great.
So we got some of you lucky LA folks
yes.
Going out to get there. There is also that new, if you're in New York, you can go to Times Square and see that amazing.
Yes.
I don't even know what it is. It's like a 3D production that they did in the middle of Times Square, which is awesome. So go check that if you're lucky enough to be in that area too.
Very cool. Kate Maloney, good to see you. Hi, Cobra Kai fans. Running a little late, but I made it. Thank you, Kate. Kate, you'll notice, has like a really cool little karate belt badge next to her name. She is a member, so that is one way. If you'd like to support the channel, you can hit the join button and become a member. So great to see you, Kate.
Yeah. Hey, Kate.
So okay, Mike, I think now we've kind of launched into our discussion, but let's launch into the main discussion.
KenCast discussion.
Okay, so I am going to put up, this is an article, and I know some of you guys have seen this article, and I just want to sort of read through it because this is a new character, Sensei Kim. And this is an interview with the actress, Alicia Hannah Kim, who plays Sensei Kim Da-Eun. And this is a very important character because she is related, now we know, to Master Kim Sun-young, who was name dropped by Terry Silver in Karate Kid 3. Captain Turner mentions studying under him. And we don't know yet for sure if John Kreese and Terry Silver studied under Master Kim Sun-young. I think they did. But well, I guess we'll find out pretty soon. But this is an interview. So we have some new information here. I'm just going to read through some of it. So it talks about the introduction. I'm going to skip right to the quote. Kim Da-Eun is the first female sensei of the Karate Kid universe, the Minx actress says, describing her character as being incredibly powerful, dangerous, and mysterious. Not only that, but she has her own very particular fighting style. Her physicality is different from everybody else in the universe. So we know we've seen the scene, we've seen them meet each other. And then the article goes on to say, although there's a mutual alliance between Silver and Da-Eun, with the two, quote, very much aligned in sharing the Cobra Kai philosophy to martial arts, Hannah Kim teases that her character is, quote, not someone that's at the beck and call of anybody else. The actress adds, how she gets enmeshed into this ongoing feud in the Valley is something that viewers will find out throughout the season. With everyone eventually learning what her true motivations are. Oh, man. Especially as, quote, everything that you know about Cobra Kai is about to be turned upside down. According to Hannah Kim, this season is incredibly emotional. It's a roller coaster, and there are these new elements that are introduced into the season that are going to take it to really exciting places. Okay, Mike. So this is kind of amazing, and that one part that says everything you know about Cobra Kai is going to be turned upside down. I want to get your reaction to that. And this is a brand new character. We haven't seen her before, but what do you think she means by this?
You know, I was reading this article earlier today, and I realized that Sensei Kim is going to be to Cobra Kai what Chozen is to Miyagi-Do. And when I say Cobra Kai, I don't mean the dojo, because I believe John Kreese started the dojo Cobra Kai, but the style of fighting, the way of the fist, whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
which started in Korea. We know nothing about that. We've been told about it. We were told about it in Karate Kid 3. We were told about it a little bit by Captain Turner in season 3, but we know nothing about it. And a lot of the history of Miyagi-Do and its Okinawan culture, we've learned about through Mr. Miyagi, and then we've learned about through Daniel, and we've learned about its importance. We know none of that for Cobra Kai. We don't know anything about the Korean aspect. We don't know anything about Master Kim or where he came from, how he trained, who he trained. And I think she is going to bring that aspect of the storyline to the table, which is going to be really cool to see. And I do believe that Silver and Kreese did train under Master Kim at some point. I do not believe that, as good as they are, they learned all that from those few months with Captain Turner in 306. That was not much time at all.
Right.
With that said, we live in a universe where you can win a tournament after 6 weeks of training with Mr. Miyagi. So, of course, it's all fiction. But
right.
I do believe that there is some direct connection to them, and that in Karate Kid 3, when Terry Silver says, "My master is Master Kim," that he was actually telling the truth. That was the one thing he was honest about. And so there is some connection. So when we bring the granddaughter, we now know she's the granddaughter, Sensei Kim, to America, we're finally going to get that history and that connection. Perhaps that'll be done through some flashbacks of young Kreese and young Silver going to Korea, which would be awesome. And then, forming that connection to Sensei Kim. Because one of the great things about the show is you really don't have to watch the Karate Kid trilogy to understand the show. The Big Three has always been really good about that. That, of course, would be great if you did, but you don't have to. So they need to do something to make that connection. Who is she? When they're talking about her grandfather, that connection has to be made. So I think that will be done through some type of flashbacks. And then you fast forward to the present, and we've got the granddaughter coming to the United States, bringing her own fighting style, whatever that means, to the table to impose on Cobra Kai. There's clearly a connection there, but like Daniel and Chozen, I think there's going to be some things that Sensei Kim knows about the way of the fist that maybe even Terry Silver and John Kreese don't know. Similar to the way Daniel was surprised by it. Like, are you sure that's Miyagi-Do? And Chozen's reaction was, maybe there's things of Miyagi-Do that you didn't know about, that you never thought about. What if that's turned on his face in Cobra Kai? And I like the description saying, like, they are aligned, Sensei Kim and Terry Silver, but she's nobody's fool. She ain't working for him.
Right.
It's this whole concept of doing it for her grandfather's legacy, and that I'm not just doing this for money. So there may come a point where their interests are not aligned. I don't know, but I'm very excited to get that aspect of the storyline into the show.
Yeah, it seems like almost like a total wild card from Terry's perspective. And, I've talked about this before. Like, I love Terry Silver, but, this is an interesting position for him to be in, because he comes at Sensei Kim pretty hard with offers of 50% ownership for legacy. He wants her involved, but he's someone who loves control, but he can't really control her. So it's interesting that he's sort of inviting her into his operation. And, is that a mistake that he's going to make, that he's going to regret later? Or is he aware of what could happen, and this is all part of his plan? I'm not so sure, but I think Marianella here agrees with you. Do you think there are darker techniques that only Sensei Kim knows? And Mike, that's exactly what you were talking about. Like
Yes,
these.
I do think so. If she's the granddaughter, making a point of her being a direct legacy, not just another student from Korea, yes, I believe she knows something, and she trained with her grandfather clearly longer than Silver or Kreese ever did. And I think we're going to learn a lot more of the way of the fist, which is going to be very exciting.
Absolutely. And a bit of Brookie says Kim Da-Eun made it clear that she cannot be bought. This might be a problem for Terry as he won't be able to control her. I trust he can still find some way to manipulate her, though. Yeah, it's really fascinating. And, we talk about who can beat who in fights and everything. And, you bring up a good point. So far, we only know that Captain Turner studied under Master Kim Sun-young. I agree with you, Mike. I think that both Terry and John Kreese eventually studied under Master Kim Sun-young. Because if it's true that John Kreese was a multiple-year winner of the U.S. Karate Championships, that was after what we saw, in the flashback so far. Mm-hmm. And that would almost seem like he needed to study under a master to get to that high level, possibly. And then Terry Silver, I don't know. We have not seen any great fighting from him in the flashbacks whatsoever yet. And is that something where he studied under him during the war? He's very rich. Is that something where he traveled to study under him after the war and to get like special training from him? I don't know. But it's like anything's possible.
It really is. And they talk about Terry Silver on the show like he was one of the most ferocious fighters in the sport. My initial reaction to that was, when did he do that? Because he left Cobra Kai, the dojo, before it even really opened to any students. And the next time he got involved was when he was teaching Daniel. He's never really been a sensei before, and we're not aware of his actual fighting history. So how is he so good?
Yeah.
Which he clearly is. He's a master. There's got to be more to it there.
100% agree. And Ben says he has to be aware of every scenario that could play out. He's just too intelligent. And yeah, he's extremely intelligent, and he's an extremely successful businessman. And, we were talking with Chris, the other night about this, and the idea that a businessman would start by offering 50% equity in Cobra Kai to someone, it's almost like that's a very strong offer. That's almost too strong because it doesn't leave any room for negotiation. And so Terry wouldn't have gotten so successful in business if he made deals that gave up too much control of what he wanted to do. So is he being honest? Are there some kind of escape clauses here? Is there an out? Markella says, Terry Silver was scared in war. Yes, absolutely. Jay says Silver was a prodigy. Yeah, it's interesting. But Mike, I think to your point too, at some point, someone would have to see something in Terry that he would be a prodigy or he would be good at fighting. Because as of the POW flashback, we haven't really seen that. We haven't seen that attitude. We haven't seen that skill.
No. Something happens to Terry Silver between 1969, when he's crawling in that cage, scared out of his mind, to the Terry Silver we see in 1985, who is a ferocious, manipulating, successful businessman.
Yep.
Something happens to change that personality. Is it just drugs, or is it that he's had some type of mind shift, and the Terry Silver within, if you will, has been brought up to the surface. It's also possible, we learn in season 4 that his money was not his own. He inherited from his father at some point, and did just the concept of him suddenly inheriting this multi-million or billion-dollar business, and suddenly he's the man. Just feed the ego, and on top of that, he knows how to fight, and then suddenly the arrogance just rises to the table. It's unclear, but as this is going to be Terry Silver's season, I believe, the more we learn about him, the better, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. Matt Moore says Terry Silver is so good at karate because Thomasine Griffith is good. Thomasine Griffith being so tall and those flashy high kicks. And that's true. He has, I believe, multiple black belts. Thomasine Griffith, the actor who plays Terry Silver. So not only is he this amazing actor, he is insanely skilled in martial arts as well. So that's a really good point. Governor says Silver is playing a risky game, though. Stingray and Tori look like they're effectively paid off, or is he relying too much on his control of people? One of them could be his downfall. Yeah, because Mike, it looks like he's opening himself up on a lot of fronts here. He's banking on the fact that he can control Tori, or maybe he doesn't know yet that Tori knows that he got paid off. He's banking on his control of the ref, who could say what happened and could show his bank statements and show the world that he was paid off if he had a change of heart. He's banking on the fact that Stingray won't say anything, and that's pretty bad because he almost died. You know, that was like attempted murder that he framed John Kreese for. Yeah. And now Kim Da-Eun. I don't know. Do you think he's biting off more than he can chew?
It is certainly possible. Sometimes when you're trying to grow something and you get too big for your bridges, he's never owned a dojo before, Terry Silver. He's always left it to John Kreese. He's never been in this business. And you're right. Maybe he's trying to get too big too fast, because I believe that this season is taking place in the weeks and months after season 4. So we're talking a relatively short period of time that they're trying to expand by gargantuan proportions in a very short period of time, which is why he's so desperate to get all these new senseis who he's never worked with before, who probably are not used to taking orders from someone else. And money can only buy off certain type of people to so much of an extent. And Sensei Kim clearly states, I'm not doing this for money. Like, your money doesn't impress me. That's not why I'm here. So it's very possible. And then, yes, you add Tori's issues. I believe that's going to be a big part of her storyline, her coming to grips, and is she going to do the right thing and come clean? Stingray, is someone going to learn the truth about what happened to Stingray? And John Kreese. And perhaps those storylines are going to somehow intersect, that Kreese is going to get out because Stingray does the right thing. And where does that leave Terry Silver, who everyone thinks is this great person? That's the other thing, which I believe is going to be a huge storyline, is that while Terry Silver is doing all these horrible, horrible things, here's the best part. Everyone's going to love him for it. Just like he says in Karate Kid 3. Everyone's going to think he is just the best. And Daniel LaRusso is going to be the crazy one who thinks that Terry Silver is awful. And it's going to be so powerful to see. But then at some point, if people learn the truth about him, learn what a terrible guy he is that going to bring him down? Or is that just going to make, the horns come out, and then you'll see the real Terry Silver do everything he's going to do then? And maybe his master plan was to be the bad guy all along. I don't know. But yeah, in a whole lot of directions. But you're right. There are a lot of issues that he needs to be aware of, while he's potential drawbacks and downfalls that he needs to be aware of while he's growing this empire.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't wait to see it all play out. It's crazy to think about all the scenarios. Kate says, somehow I see Silver believing his own ego after being triumphant over Miyagi's legacy and getting in bed with the devil, disregarding the potential consequences. Yeah, because if you remember, it's a lot of people have pointed out just very humorously in Karate Kid 3, he gets his butt kicked by Mr. Miyagi and then immediately goes on this tirade about how Miyagi's going to fall and everything like that. It's like, this dude gets angry and is screaming that he's going to dominate just after he gets his butt kicked, So his perception of himself and what he can do might be a little off or a little skewed from reality.
Well, it's the whole concept of Cobra Kai never dies. And, how many times has John Kreese gotten his butt handed to him? And he keeps coming right back within seconds. He gets his ass handed to him by both Johnny and Daniel in season 3. And within seconds, he's making a bet about a tournament.
Right.
How many times has Kyler gotten his ass handed to him? Tori's lost twice to Sam. They keep coming back. It's this whole Cobra Kai never dies scenario that you can bring us down, but you will never take us out. The only one who I think seems to get this is Amanda LaRusso, which is a whole different story. Yeah. And her whole relationship with Tori, she's the only one who realizes, look, you can beat up Tori as many times as you want. She's going to keep coming back. You need to fix the problem here. And the problem is you have these broken children who are at rock bottom. And John Kreese and Terry Silver are masters at taking young people like that and making them feel like gods. And giving them everything their hearts think they desire. That's a very hard thing to fight against. If you're really at rock bottom financially, emotionally, you have no parents, and you have these two people who are telling you you're the best, you're going to be a champion. It's a real hard thing to fight about, but someone like Amanda understands that that's not what this girl needs. This girl needs a family. She needs help. And she's so far has been the only one to realize that this is how you defeat a Cobra Kai, by getting to the root of these kids' problems.
Right. Speaking of Amanda, we were doing the rewatches on Cobra Kai Companion in the Facebook group. And in season 3, episode 6, it's interesting if you watch Amanda and Daniel's behavior. They try to put Kreese out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Amanda is the one that suggests the nuclear option. So she goes and they talk to the landlord to get Kreese evicted immediately. And it really, looking at it from a Terry Silver perspective, that was a very Terry Silver move. That was a very Terry Silver power move that Amanda was completely endorsing and coming up with. And I don't know. I'm wondering if there are some similarities in the thought process behind Amanda and Terry Silver. It's just, they both feel justified in doing that, and, if they can use their money and muscle to evict someone or get rid of a problem, they'll do it. I don't know. Do you think that there's some similarity between Terry Silver and Amanda?
There could be. And I'm liking what I'm seeing, the two of them together, their characters. We got that great screenshot of them a few weeks ago at some type of event where they're all looking fantastic. And you got Terry Silver offering Amanda champagne. And then you've got that scene in the trailer at the very beginning where everyone's talking about how great Terry Silver is, and he's speaking before a bunch of people, and right there in the front row is Amanda. So what is she doing there? They're both successful business people in the Valley. And yeah, maybe they do think alike. There was a reason that we learned more about Amanda's backstory and where she came from in season 4. And I believe there's going to be more connections between them. Maybe that is yet another one of Terry Silver's plans, is to bring Amanda over to his side. Hey, this guy you're married to, I tried to help him, but he can't be helped. Maybe you need to talk some sense into him. Why don't you come over to my side of the table? Instead of being competitors, LaRusso Auto and Cobra Kai, and me having to take you down, why don't you come to my side and we'll work together and we'll make the Valley a beautiful place. And they'll feed into that. And, maybe they'll, as always, be twists and turns, and maybe we'll think she's going for it, but then she doesn't. I definitely believe, again, I believe this is the first time Amanda has been in a season poster. The fact that she's in it means she's going to she's not going to be Mrs. LaRusso, the wife. She's going to be a very, very important role and have a purpose in this season. And I think it is, going to have a lot to do with Terry Silver.
Yeah, I love that. Yosef says, I hope we see more goodness in Terry Silver. And he developed a bond with Kenny Payne. And, I think that's one of the great points or characteristics of Terry Silver is he's a guy that, despite what he does, you kind of want to see him succeed, or you want to believe in the good parts of him, that there are good things, and that he's not all bad, and this is kind of an interesting comment. Thank you so much. And, I agree. It would be nice to see that side of Terry. That's, a mentor that's, not ruthless, but kind to some people. And Edit says, do you prefer Johnny or Mike? Who would emerge victorious in a street fight? So, Mike, you came on today. We have to have at least one discussion of a battle of who would win. And I want to get to this question of who would win, but we have to talk about Mike Barnes coming back. So what do you think? How do you think he'll come back? In what capacity will he come back?
That is truly a big question mark, because except for that one screenshot that we have of him, we know nothing about him, except in one scene, he has his fists up with a wedding ring on and appears to be pretty pissed off. That is all we know. We don't know where he was, who he was talking to, who he has his fists up towards, and how he fits into the existing role of what's going on in season 5. I think we're led to believe at the end of season 4, of course, that when Silver says, I'll get one or two old friends to take over Cobra Kai while you deal with your legal problems, we also, Mike Barnes, he's talking about Mike Barnes.
Right.
And maybe he was. Maybe he's the first thought that Terry Silver has. I'm going to get back old Barnes and give him the 50%. I have said this before. I don't think the reunion between Mike Barnes and Terry Silver is going to be a good one.
I
I
agree.
think Mike Barnes is going to be very, very angry to see Terry Silver. I believe that after Karate Kid Part 3, Mike Barnes was basically left out on the street.
Mm-hmm.
He did not get his 50%. He is now no longer the tournament terror. He's lost his reputation to a stupid little kata. And it
Mm-hmm.
was all because of Terry Silver's plan. If Silver had just let Barnes go out there and just do his thing in the 85 tournament, Barnes would have beat Daniel 1-2-3. There's not a doubt in my mind about that. He was so far more skilled than Daniel. But because of the whole you win a point, then you lose a point, keep it tied till sudden death, and then he got fooled at the end, I don't think he's going to be very high. It is not going to be a happy reunion. So I think that's how it's going to play at first. And then Terry Silver is going to go on to the Fist and the other senseis, but I don't believe that's all we're going to see of Mike Barnes. I think at some point he's going to come back and be the old bad boy that we remember. But as with Kreese, I question he's going to come back, but on what side? Are we really going to be seeing him team up with LaRusso and Lawrence? Now, he doesn't know who Lawrence is yet. I don't know, but the whole concept of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Maybe Terry Silver is his enemy. And even though it would pain them all to think it, to see Mike Barnes, John Kreese, and Daniel LaRusso on the same side against Daniel LaRusso, that they're going to need all hands on deck to take out this group. It's crazy, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Or we just get to see old school bad boy, and he realigns himself with Silver, and the two of them scare the bejesus out of Daniel LaRusso again. That could be equally awesome. I just don't know.
Well, Mike, you brought up the fact that Mike Barnes was the tournament terror back in the day, but potentially he lost that reputation when he lost to Kata in a tournament. And my question for you is, do you think Mike Barnes kept up his martial arts through the years after that? Or do you think he kind of stepped away from that part of his life?
I don't know if he was still fighting. I believe he lost his reputation. Like, you could see if that had happened today, it would be all over social media. Barnes, tournament terror, loses to Kata. Right. How embarrassing. And you could see, the great comments on Twitter. Barnes, you loser. I can't believe you fell for that. But I don't know if he still kept it up on a daily basis. Maybe he sort of did to the same extent that Johnny did. We're not led to believe that Johnny was still in a dojo for 35 years between the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, but he still can throw a wild punch and kick some ass in season 1. So maybe he is not actively training for the past 35 years, but he's still the bad boy in there. He's still got some skills. And Sean Kanan is in ridiculous shape.
Yeah,
he's been training with Daryl Vidal, with Sensei Ford. So I know in his real life he's been keeping really good shape, and I personally believe he's been doing that because he was waiting for the phone call one day from the Big Three saying, "Okay, bad boy's coming back, you're on," and he was already in shape and ready to go. So I think the bad boy's not coming back unless he's going to fight. The question is, who is he going to fight?
Right. Okay. So now that is the eternal question: is in a fight between Mike Barnes and Johnny Lawrence, who would win? Who do you think would win?
Yeah, that's a tough question because we don't know what current Mike Barnes. I think 1985, Barnes takes out Johnny. He was just on another level. He was basically the 1985 equivalent of a UFC fighter, Mike Barnes. That's what he did. Current level, present time, or 2019, when Cobra Kai takes place, the question is, how good is Mike Barnes? Johnny, I believe, somehow, is a more significant fighter than he was in the 1980s. I don't know how, because all he apparently did was party and drink, but the dude can fight. So the two of them against each other, it's going to be like Street Fighter versus Street Fighter. Because I know Johnny Lawrence and we know what he can do, I got to give the edge slightly to Johnny right now, but we will certainly see what happens. But I think, everyone's going to be seeing them to at least throw one punch at each other just to maybe get that question answered once and for all. Or maybe they will save it for a future seasons. Who knows?
Right. I think that's a great point. Like, I think it's impossible to tell without knowing what happened to Mike Barnes afterwards. If he retreated and didn't fight much, then, I think you have a much more even fight on your hands. If he sort of doubled down and just went, tried to beat back that, try to get back his reputation, maybe he's been training all his life. He could be really, really dangerous right now. He could be incredible given his success when he was so young. Allie says, I'm not looking forward to seeing the training in Cobra Kai, knowing that lovely twig, young Terry Silver, probably went through the same training and it turned him into 85 Terry Silver. So, Mike, that's kind of a good question, or a good point about how John Kreese and Terry Silver went under training with Master Kim Sun-young and became who they were. And that Sensei Kim is bringing that same method to the Valley that looks like it's almost like torture. I mean, it might traumatize all these kids, and it might have traumatized Terry Silver. And she's not looking forward to that. So it could get pretty dark this season.
I think it will. That's why I said my initial impression when you saw the poster is Empire Strikes Back vibes.
Mm-hmm.
People look back as Empire Strikes Back as the best of the original Star Wars movies. That's a fantastic movie, but it is dark as all heck. Mm-hmm. And it's all about the Empire and Darth Vader, and the ending is not good. The Empire wins at the end. So I'm picking up that type of vibe as well, but I am looking forward to it. I think that Silver could have recruited anybody for that type of money, for that type of interest in a huge company like that. He could have recruited anybody. But why go back to Korea to Sensei Kim is because, yes, I believe he knows that type of training and that is what is truly necessary to take these students to the next level, as he mm-hmm. says. And actually, my personal feeling is that is how we're going to see young Kreese and young Silver come into play in season 5, is that, yes, there is going to be this parallel. We're going to see them being trained by Master Kim in the 70s, getting their legs hit with bamboo sticks and mm-hmm. watching them just crush each other, and then see that same style implemented by Sensei Kim to Tori, to Devin, to Kenny, I guess. That this is what is truly necessary to bring these students to the next level that he knows about.
Right. And it reminds me of, in Karate Kid 1, what Miyagi said about Kreese. There's no such thing as a bad student, only a bad teacher. Teachers say, student do. And Master Kim Sun-young may be that original teacher, that bad teacher that it affected generations. And now Sensei Kim could be the bad teacher now. It's crazy. Edit says, I don't think Johnny is on Barnes's level, but Detective Bat says, no, Barnes is stronger and meaner than Johnny. So this is like an eternal question among fans, and I don't think we're ever going to know till we see it happen.
I was just going to say, and part of me sort of hopes maybe it never happens. Maybe leave that be the one question. Let's not have every single question answered when all is said and done in the show. Maybe that'll still be a question we're talking about in 20 years. Who would have done better?
Absolutely. Now, Peter, he's in the chat. Good to see you, Peter. He says 2 things Hayden loves: Star Wars and Terry Silver. And for those of you who don't know, Hayden Schlossberg is one of the co-creators and showrunners of Cobra Kai. He's a huge Terry Silver fan. And of course, we love him here for that. He's a creative genius. And, it's interesting because in the past, I pointed out this kind of parallel between Terry Silver and Emperor Palpatine, in the original Star Wars, because they called Kreese Darth Vader. Yep. And then if Darth Vader is Kreese, then Palpatine is Terry Silver. I think it's interesting when we see these scenes between Terry Silver and Sensei Kim, I get serious Sith vibes. Like,
mm-hmm.
The idea that you have like 2 Sith together. There's like a master and apprentice. Yeah. And that at one point, the apprentice will try to overthrow the master. It's almost like I kind of get these vibes where Terry thinks he's the master, but then Sensei Kim might at some point want to overthrow Terry. What do you think of that Sith comparison? Is that fair?
It is absolutely fair. Look, they're all in black. I mean, they're looking like the two. You add some hoodies and they are Sith,
right.
basically. But it's been a common theme throughout the show. In season 2, Kreese takes over from Johnny and he rolls it right from under him. At the end of season 4, Silver does the exact same thing to Kreese. So if Silver isn't expecting to be overthrown by his apprentice, then he's foolish. But I don't think he is. I think he is expecting it this time. He's just trying to keep them at bay with offers of legacy and growth throughout the country to keep them pleased, so they won't start to take over from him. But yeah, if that's, and you're right, Hayden loves his Star Wars. They all do, the big three.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's where they're going, that Revenge of the Sith are finally taking control. This is what they've been waiting for. They are Karate Kid 3 fans. They are Terry Silver fans. This is what they have been waiting, this type of story to show, the Sith taking over. In this case, it's two senseis in Cobra Kai, but it's gonna be hard to watch, especially if you're a Miyagi-Do, Daniel LaRusso fan, but it's gonna be a lot of fun in the process.
Oh, 100%. And Jay says, Silver, the stylish Sith Lord. Yeah, absolutely.
The man looks good. You can't refute that.
100%. Ben, discussion about some Robbie. Well, Robbie is interesting because, he started out being sort of a student of Terry Silver. It was like Terry Silver was trying to be a mentor to Robbie. But then we saw by the end of season 4, Robbie was starting to mouth off to Terry Silver in the tournament. And so it does seem like that Robbie I don't know, he understands who Terry Silver is and is going to be against Terry Silver. But as far as Robbie goes, I know you were talking about earlier how him and Miguel, they're going to have it out, but at the end of the day, they're pretty much going to be brothers. And so maybe, hopefully, we'll get to see that side of Robbie this season.
I think so. I think at some point they're going to have to deal with whatever's going on. And we do see in the trailer, and we've seen in the shots, at some point he is once again training at Miyagi-Do, and he is shoulder to shoulder with Miguel and Hawk, which I am also looking forward to. Hawk, Miguel, and Robbie on the same side. I mean, that's just insane. Never could have imagined that seasons ago. But yeah, to your point, I think the fact that Robbie has finally seen Cobra Kai for what it is, and that he's had this experience and he's been pulled away from it, is going to be one thing that he and Johnny are going to bond over, that they have both now done some pretty awful things on behalf of Cobra Kai. Johnny did what he did back in the 80s, and Robbie did what he did to Hawk and in the tournament. And it's something they're both going to have to figure out together, perhaps during this Mexico journey, and then when they get back, and that they're both going to have some apologies to make.
Mm-hmm.
I think Robbie's going to have a nice heart-to-heart with Daniel as well. I don't think he's just going to be welcomed back into Miyagi-Do open arms and, hey, Sam, yeah, come on back in. No, he's got some explaining to do. He's the reason Miyagi-Do lost. Yeah, he didn't win the finals himself, but they won because he trained them Miyagi-Do purely out of spite. There's a conversation that has to be had for it to be realistic that he's just going to be back in there training with everyone. So I think, and I mentioned this last year, or earlier this year, I was absolutely blown away by Tanner's performance in season 4.
Yeah.
I thought he was one of the absolute breakout stars, and I was amazed by him. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that in season 5.
Yeah, he's super talented. Elizabeth says, I think Robbie actually took Daniel's warning of Silver to heart, and that's an interesting point, because they had that confrontation. And yeah, maybe you're right. And maybe that would lead to Robbie trying to make amends with Daniel and sincerely try to become part of whatever they're about to do. I don't know, which is kind of exciting. What do you think their strategy will be? We've got Chozen now. We see Chozen fighting against some senseis in the trailer. What do you think is going on? What do you think this plan is to take down Cobra Kai, which is a franchise, obviously backed by this millionaire, billionaire who has infinite resources, a South Korean master? How can Chozen and Daniel take down Cobra Kai?
Well, they certainly have their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be that is another big question mark, is what is Chozen doing there? How does he come to play in the mix, other than he is a fellow Miyagi-Do master with Daniel? And I don't know. I think he and Daniel are going to try to do the right thing at first, and whether it's through trying to educate the other students, whether it's trying to scare Terry Silver, the whole coming up, I am gasoline, like, don't be messing, I'm here now, and it not working. And I believe at some point there's going to be some type of rematch in the students. My belief is that these judges or these evaluators, whoever they are that we've seen in the still shots and the trailers, that there's going to be some type of tournament redux. Perhaps what Silver did, cheating in the tournament, gets discovered. So they have to have some type of more informal rematch between the dojos to see who really won.
Mm-hmm.
It's not clear. They've kept very, very hidden what Daniel and Chozen's mission is.
Right.
I think it's going to need to be explained, and I think we're going to get to see how Chozen came to America in the first place and what is he doing there, because he has no role in Cobra Kai. He just knows that Miyagi-Do is in trouble, and that if Miyagi-Do, the dojo, truly closes, Miyagi-Do is done for after 600 years. And I've said this before, I think Chozen feels a lot of guilt on behalf of his uncle still for what they did. That Sato, by doing what he did back in the day and making Miyagi leave Okinawa, they effectively ended the Miyagi-Do bloodline after 600 years.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's a great point.
So there's some guilt to that. And Chozen is out there. He has felt it his duty to keep the teachings of Miyagi-Do going in Okinawa. Daniel was doing the same thing in LA. And when the two finally met each other, they realized they weren't alone, and that there were actually two remaining masters of Miyagi-Do under the original Mr. Miyagi. And so when Daniel calls Chozen and says, Chozen, Miyagi-Do is in trouble, he doesn't need to know about Cobra Kai. He doesn't need to know about the tournament. He just needs to know that his way of life, he's all about honor. And his honor and his way of life is Miyagi-Do. And if he learns that for some reason it is in trouble, it is in danger, he's going to be on the first flight out to LA.
Yeah.
So I think he's just going to come out there and, swinging punches. I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but I'm looking forward to that. And then at some point, he is introduced to one Johnny Lawrence, and then the two of them are going to team up. And I cannot wait to see that. I think Johnny is going to bring out the Karate Kid 2 Chozen out that's been laying dormant for 35 years. If Peter's still here, I know he really wants to see some old school Karate Kid 2 Chozen. I think Johnny's going to bring out that badass within him, and it's going to be a sight to see. I cannot wait. I also think that the two of them are going to realize that they have a lot in common vis-a-vis Daniel LaRusso and all the annoying things about Daniel LaRusso, and it's going to bond them together, and they're going to be fast friends, and it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Those are such great thoughts. I can't wait to see that happen. And you're right. There is this badass. If people have just seen the Cobra Kai series, they haven't seen just how much of a badass and I don't know how much of a bully and how kind of, I don't know, you call him evil, but he was a bad guy in Karate Kid 2. I mean, he did some bad things. It was life or death. He was willing to kill Kumiko. He was willing to kill Daniel, like death. And so, at that level, I wonder what would happen with him and Terry Silver, because he understands being rich. He understands revenge. He understands all those things that Terry Silver operates on. And so I don't know. He could be the key to Terry's downfall. And Ben says Chozen and Terry might fight. Do you think that as well? I mean, I think that's very possible. I mean, I would personally love to see a fight between Terry Silver and Chozen. Mike, what do you think?
I think that's got to be the end game. I do want to see Daniel and Terry fight as well. I'd like to see what he can do. And it appears we are going to see a little bit of that because I think Daniel needs to finally get his own PTSD out of his system from what Terry did to him. But yeah, I think we need to see Chozen and Terry fight it out. And you make a really good point that at his core, Terry Silver can have all the money and all the skills. He is still young twig at his little heart, that little coward who was terrified at the concept of fighting to the death. And when Chozen, who is absolutely not afraid of that, brings that as an option, okay, forget everything else. You and me fight to the death. Then Terry is that scared little kid again over the pit of snakes. And how is he going to react when his life is on the line? I don't know. I give the advantage to Chozen in a situation like that. I don't think Terry's really been put in that position before.
Right. Of course, as a counterpoint, Peter brings up, hold on, Ken, we talked about that scam. And that's to Chozen's scam that didn't work. That was kind of like the opposite, where he was, putting lighter weights on to measure people's produce and probably overpaying them instead of underpaying them. So that's true. Maybe Chozen doesn't have like the same business sense as Terry. However, I think everything that Mike said is absolutely true. Cloud Leon, thank you so much for the super chat, guys. I love super chats. They help pay the bills. They help support the channel. And Cloud Leon is also a brand new member. You'll notice by his little badge. So thanks for becoming a member. And if you guys want to support the channel, you can hit the join button to become a member. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Cobra Edit says Daniel should be the one to take down Silver in the end. And yeah, I could see that. It's interesting. I'm a Terry Silver fan. I kind of don't want him to be taken down in a way. Like I hope he's always out there, but I understand that at some point, you know, Daniel will have to prevail somehow against Terry Silver. I get that.
It is, and we're just talking about season 5,
right?
It's not the end of the show. No way, no how. So whatever happens at the end of season 5 is not the end of Cobra Kai. So if it doesn't happen this season, it will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ben, thank you so much. I really appreciate the super chat. Every little bit helps. Thank you guys. Matt says Terry gave us a hint last season speaking to Johnny. You have to confront and overcome your fear. Twig became Silver when he did that. Yeah, and you know, one idea I have about Terry Silver is that yes, he confronted his fear, but his way of dealing with it is to be in absolute control in every situation. Because if he does that, he doesn't have to be afraid of anything. So that's, at least to me, seems like his pattern over Karate Kid 3 and Cobra Kai. You know, and we saw that even by framing Kreese and throwing him into prison, he doesn't want anything that's going to mess with his absolute control over a situation, which gets us back to our discussion before about why bring in Sensei Kim, because he seems to be giving up control by doing that. I don't know. It's fascinating. Now, Mike, a lot of people have been wondering and worried about the death of Terry Silver. I don't want Silver to die. I hope he sees the error of his ways. And I agree. I don't want Silver to die. Do you think Terry Silver's going to die?
Not in season 5. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Because where do you go from there? How do you go above and beyond Terry frickin' Silver, to be blunt?
Right.
Unless the idea is to have Mike Barnes come back at the end. Oh, yeah, we forgot about him, but then the bad boy is back, and he's the new heavy in season 6. Mm-hmm. I believe at some point, yes, Terry Silver is either going to meet an end, whether that means death, whether that means imprisonment. He's going to finally go down. I believe John Kreese is going to have a part of that. I believe Daniel's going to have a part of that. I believe Johnny's going to have a part of that. I just don't know the circumstances, but I think at some point, yeah, Terry Silver is going to get too big, and he's going to do exactly what you're just happy. He's going to finally lose control. He's not going to know what to do, and it's just going to take him down, Emperor Palpatine style, you know,
right?
Big explosion. He's not just going to go down. It's going to be absolutely epic. And what role are the other characters going to play in that? I think they're all going to have some role.
Right.
I just don't know when it's going to happen.
Okay. So, and this kind of goes along with that. Areg says, which evil characters do you think will just lose and vanish, and which evil characters will turn to the right side? So people have been talking a lot about, say, redemption arcs and, you know, which villains will be redeemed. And I know a lot of people think that John Kreese would be redeemed, and some people have suggested Terry Silver might be redeemed. Now we have, you know, Sensei Kim. You know, will she stay bad or will she be redeemed? Who do you think will stay a villain and just lose, and who do you think could be redeemed, or do you want them to even be redeemed?
Yeah, I don't like the whole concept, and the show speaks largely to that of I'm always bad, I'm always good. We all have our points of view, and we don't know in terms of Sensei Kim, is she evil? Is she have an evil motive? We don't know that. She is on a purpose to support her, what appears to be her grandfather's legacy, and will do whatever she can to get that. Does that make her evil just because she's on Terry Silver's side? Not necessarily. I don't know. Terry Silver, I don't see him turning back and finding goodness. I don't believe that's his end game. I believe he does have some good parts to him. I agree with what one of your listeners was saying about Terry Silver and Kenny's relationship. what was scary about him in season 4, because before we got too far to the end, is he's a very good teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And he really was a mentor and helped Kenny get over his own mental hump to take it to that next level, before, again, Kreese started poking his bear and bringing out the beast within. He was a good teacher and wanted to do the right thing for Cobra Kai. So there's that within him. I don't see his end game being like, I was wrong all along, let me help rebuild Miyagi-Do. I don't see that as being believable. If anyone has a shot of being redeemed, and I use that term very, very loosely, it is John Kreese. I don't see that redemption being, again, like, I was wrong, mercy is not just for the weak, let me help make Miyagi-Do the greatest dojo ever. I don't see that happening. I see John Kreese's end story as him finally having to make a choice between Cobra Kai and Johnny Lawrence, which are his two loves. And Martin Kove has said that many, many times. He loves two things and two things only, Cobra Kai and Johnny Lawrence. So far, he has always messed up and chosen Cobra Kai over Johnny Lawrence if he had to choose. But it is clear he loves Johnny. He keeps wanting to bring him back. Doesn't matter how many times he tries to kill him. Doesn't matter all the terrible things he does. At the end of the day, he still comes back and says, oh, yes, I can almost kill you. But when Terry did that, I was against that, just so you know.
Right.
And at some point, he is going to have to make a choice, Cobra Kai or who he sees as his son, Johnny Lawrence. I believe he's finally going to choose Johnny Lawrence, possibly in an altercation with Terry Silver. And it may or may not cost him his life in doing so, but he's going to save Johnny. So he's not redeemed. He's not a good guy, but he's like Darth Vader. He sacrificed himself at the end to take out the Emperor and save his son, but expired in the process. And
so does that mean that John Kreese will be the one to take out Terry Silver?
In effect, it is possible. He is the one. Again, they know each other's weaknesses, Silver and Kreese. I believe he has to be part of the mix to come back in there. And he's going to be very conflicted. It's not like I like LaRusso. And, I don't want Cobra Kai, the dojo, to go down. But this Terry Silver, one, he betrayed me, if I'm Kreese. Two, what he's doing does not work and is not acceptable. And I think he's going to have learned some things through his own trauma in the prison. And I think he's definitely, if Terry Silver is going to go down, John Kreese is, yes, going to have some type of role in that.
Right. Now, we have a question from Daniel. What do you think about Miguel in season 5? Now, this is really interesting because, as you were saying before, we haven't gotten too much about the time in Mexico. We know that Miguel is going to Mexico to find his father. We don't know what happens with that. We do know that it seems like most of the time after he's returned from Mexico, like in the trailers and the footage we've seen, he does look maybe kind of more negative or angrier or something after coming back. And I don't know if it's because of something that happened there. I know that maybe he wanted to hang out with his dad. Maybe it wasn't a bad thing, but Johnny made him leave. I don't know, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Mike, like that aspect of Miguel's story from Mexico, and also whether you think that Miguel's father will not just stay in Mexico, but perhaps follow Miguel.
That is certainly a possibility. That just when the Mexico storyline ends, that doesn't mean the storyline of Miguel's father has now ended. We know he's a very bad man. Who now knows he has a son, I presume, knows his son is located in the valley, and tries to come back at the end. And that, that's the hook and twist that we'd forgotten all about Miguel's father. And then he comes back after the whole Terry Silver storyline is over. And that leaves us at the end of season 5. I don't know. But of all the characters, I feel like in the 2 trailers, we've seen the least of Miguel. And maybe that is intentional. We know he left for Mexico at the end of season 4. We've seen some very small clips of him being there and talking to some people there. We know somehow mixed martial arts and cage fighting appears to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's really it. And that's what we got from the first teaser. And all we got of Miguel in the trailer is, he's already back in LA. And I don't know if he's angry or if he has a chip on his shoulder, or he's just like, what I've been through. I can't believe I'm still dealing with this Cobra Kai nonsense. I don't have my own dojo anymore. And I'm still mad at Robbie. They're still all ticked at each other. He doesn't like the idea that Robbie is with Johnny, that they came down together after what Johnny said in 308. I love you, Robbie. They're going to have a lot to deal with. I think a lot of the source of Miguel's bitterness during those scenes is going to be Robbie. And how is that? Is Johnny's new relationship with Robbie going to affect Johnny and Miguel? That storyline that was somewhat teased in season 4, is that going to keep presenting itself in season 5? It's certainly possible.
Right. And, you brought up something about Miguel's story in Mexico, the fact that we do see mixed martial arts. We do see like professional fighting rings in Mexico. And so if Miguel's father is associated with that and he has a bunch of professional fighters at his beck and call, I mean, that could blow up if they come back to LA to go after Miguel, I mean, that adds a whole other wild component to, who could be against who and what's going on. I don't know. It's crazy to think about the possibilities.
It is crazy. And if we're talking crazy, let's go even crazier. What if they're on Miguel's side, and that's how they get into Cobra Kai and take down the Fist? They bring back everyone up from Mexico, and they're on the good side. And they just, it's literally all hands on deck. I mean, we've got professional UFC fighters in this season who are playing senseis. They've got the real deal. We've got real fighters. This is going to be an absolute explosion at the end. And both sides are going to need some heavy artillery. They're going to need all they can. So maybe I think all we know is that we don't know anything. And what we're expecting is going to get thrown in our faces, Big 3 style, the way they always do.
Yeah. And here's a thought from Robert. Kim might think very highly of John Kreese. Maybe he saved her grandfather's life or was a better and more honorable student than Terry. And that's possible, because would Kreese do that to Terry Silver? No. And, I heard some other commenters say, when she learns what Terry did to John Kreese, she might not be happy about that either, because maybe there's a lack of honor there that he would do that. But guys, thank you so much for watching. It's amazing to get all your comments. And I want to thank Mike for joining us today. Cobra Kai Wisdom himself. Be sure to follow him on social media. As you can tell, he knows this backwards and forwards. Amazing thoughts and ideas. Thank you, Mike, for coming on today. And again, tell everyone where they can find you next, including those rewatches.
Yeah, come find me, Cobra Kai Wisdom, on Instagram, Twitter. Lots of memes, lots of laughs. Met some really, really great people who I consider to be my friends all over social media. And we have a lot of fun. And it helps the time go by when we're in between seasons. And yeah, if you're not already a member of the Cobra Kai Companion Facebook group, which is run by Peter, but I'm one of the admins as well, you can come join that. I'll let you in. And yes, we have been doing 50 days of Cobra Kai, where we're watching one episode every night of the first 4 seasons until September 8th. And then, of course, we will watch season 5 in all its glory. And then we will do an episode watch of all of season 5 starting on September 10th. So it's been a lot of fun. So come on, join in.
Absolutely. And as for our discussion today, Peter from Cobra Kai Companion says, you guys are making me more excited for season 5, which is really funny because Peter has actually already seen season 5.
You
so
troll.
Mike, if we have made Peter more excited for season 5 after he's seen it, I think we've done our job today.
I think so.
100%. And thank you guys. I know we got so many questions and comments, and I want to get to all those. I think I'm going to do a lot more KenCasts coming up this week. We've had requests that I do a KenCast from beneath the Terry Silver billboard on Sunset Boulevard. We're going to make that happen. But until then, I want to thank Mike, Cobra Kai Wisdom, for joining me today. Everyone go follow him. If you have not subscribed to my channel here, go ahead and hit subscribe. It's free. It makes you feel great. And we've got lots of content coming up, so hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted every time we come out with a new video. So again, thanks, Mike. And I look forward to seeing you again in your rewatches. And we're going to have you back sometime on KenCast.
Name the time and place. I'll be here. Thanks so much, Ken. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mike. And have a good day, everyone. And we'll see you